Got Belinda Taylor, lawyer for the WikiLeaks editor Julian Assange, to try and gauge what he's going to do now. All eyes. Thanks for being with us. You're live with us. I just saw a hand come into shot there. Just letting you know you are live on air here on RT International. All eyes then on Julian now. He said that if Chelsea Manning is shown some clemency, that he'd be willing to be extradited to the US. Is he going to follow through on that now or not?
Well, Mr. Assange stands by everything that he has said, but yesterday's decision certainly falls far short of what Miss Manning deserves. Her sentence was commuted, but she wasn't pardoned. She should also never have been convicted in the first place.
Yeah. What's the future for Chelsea Manning? She's already served 7 years in jail. Is she going to walk free now? What do you foresee happening here next? What's the next stage for her before we go back to Julian again?
Well, she won't be released until May, and I really call on organisations and persons to assist her and ensure that she has employment. Her bravery should have been applauded, and it can now be applauded by people's help.
Could she face further prosecution after May?
I would think that the decision to commute the sentence would result in double jeopardy as concerns any further prosecutions related to the same allegations.
And what about Julian Assange now? Let's put this into a nutshell. Is he likely to get onto a plane to America shortly after May then? Or are we saying that what's happened here regarding Chelsea Manning has fallen short, because it's fallen short of a pardon, then he's probably not going to go? How do you foresee that playing out?
Well, the reason why Mr. Assange has been illegally and arbitrarily detained for over 5 years is because the risk that he would face persecution and an unfair trial in the United States. Yesterday's decision is a first step in the right direction, but of course his lawyers need to assess whether it goes far enough in ensuring his fundamental rights.
Right, so what is the likely outcome of that going to be? What's your best guess at the moment? You are one of his lawyers. What do you think is going to happen next? Are we going to see him going off to America? Is this some sort of deal behind the scenes as well, do you think? There has been some surmising that maybe it's some kind of behind-the-scenes deal in Obama's last few days to finally try to get him to go over to America. Is that any mileage in that or not?
Well, I think certainly he's trying to quieten a lot of criticism against him for his treatment of whistleblowers. But as I said, it doesn't go far enough. He still hasn't pardoned Edward Snowden, and there's still an ongoing prosecution against WikiLeaks. So certainly this is a very tepid attempt to address the issue. And it's to be hoped the new administration will end this futile and unfair war on whistleblowers and ensure real and effective protection for people who expose war crimes and human rights violations.
Well, let's talk about that as far as Julian's concerned, with the new administration coming in just a couple of days' time. What's Trump going to mean as far as Assange is concerned? Is it going to be more of the same? Is it going to be a sea change? What?
Well, obviously, it brings in a new set of factors, a new policy, potential new standards to be applied to whistleblowers. So it's to be hoped that it will be an open book, and that the previous precedents of the Obama administration won't be applied, because these precedents were wrong. They were unfair. They stifled democratic expression.
Given what you know, what Trump said about this kind of thing so far, how he stands on it, is the future a little brighter for whistleblowers coming up, or not? What's the realistic pattern, do you think, going to lay out here?
Well, we can certainly hope that the new administration appreciates the role played by independent organisations such as WikiLeaks, organisations who were brave enough to publish authentic information about those in power.
OK, just tell us a little bit about Julian Assange for a second. How is he? What's the latest on him? We've been giving our viewers various updates over the years. In fact, as you know, he's been on this channel a couple of times in the past. Going into a new year, how does he stand?
Well, he's still arbitrarily detained, and that's fundamentally unfair. The Working Group on Arbitrary Detention issued a decision almost this time last year, and yet the United Kingdom and Sweden have failed to take any steps to implement it. So of course there's a sense of frustration there, that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and it's to be hoped that 2017 will end this stalemate.
But is it, well, you're saying hope there, but you know, it's got to be backed by some kind of hard reality, hard fact as well. Is that likely to happen? I mean, we can all hope, but is he going to be in that Ecuadorian embassy in 12 months' time, do you think? What's the realistic picture?
Well, as I said, the reason why he is detained was the risk of persecution and mistreatment in the United States. If that can be addressed, if he can be given effective protection against that, then yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel that he could be free.
All right, we've got a few more minutes with you, actually. Just tell us what is the next stage for Julian Assange now? What's he doing behind the scenes to try and gain his release?
Well, in terms of what Mr. Assange is doing, he's doing what he always does, which is to publish. He's a publisher, and no matter what's happened over the last couple of years, WikiLeaks has continued to publish a vast amount of information. In terms of his situation, obviously, we're still calling on the United Kingdom and Sweden to step up to their international legal obligations and implement the UN's decision, which is binding on them because it applies binding human rights law. And at the same time, his lawyers are obviously trying to clarify his position in the United States and to call on both President Obama and the new administration to close this unfair prosecution of him.
And can you remind us, for our viewers, refreshing themselves on this whole long drawn-out case, with regards to the accusations made against him on the Swedish side, where does that stand now?
Well, as I said, they are just accusations. Mr. Assange has never been charged. Last year, he was interviewed, which was a victory in a sense that he's been waiting several years to be given an opportunity to clear his name. It's regrettable that it took so long and was a complete violation of his rights to keep him in arbitrary detention, while the Swedish prosecutor could have interviewed him 5 years ago. So it's regrettable that his rights were violated to such an extent in the meantime.
Regarding this decision about Chelsea Manning just a couple of days before Obama leaves office, what do you think of the timing of it, the significance of it?
In what sense? Sorry.
Well, why has it come now, so late in the Obama administration, just as he's about to leave, 48 hours before he's about to leave the White House? What do you make of the timing of what he's done now, this clemency, or commuting the sentence at least for Chelsea Manning? Why now?
Well, that is a good question. Why now? Why not earlier? Why did Chelsea Manning have to spend so much time in jail after such an unfair trial? After all, it was back in 2012 that the UN already found that her interrogation was tantamount to torture. So why did the president sit on this for so long and allow her to endure continued mistreatment? It would appear that he's only doing it the very last minute to stem the criticism of this actions.
All right,
Belinda, of what was a gross violation of justice.
Thanks for staying with us on the line a little bit longer than maybe you bargained for. Melinda Taylor, lawyer for WikiLeaks editor Julian Assange. Nice to see you and all best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.